First off, I want to apologize for the terrible setting, the terrible lighting, terrible setup. I'm just really busy and I don't have the time to set up shop properly, kind of like the Rebels. So, with that said, let's get into the honorable ones. In this episode, the Rebels go to a station where they're ambushed by Agent Kallus and they get away, and he's like, "I'll get you next time, Rebels." Thankfully, that's not what happened. Instead, what happens is Zeb gets cut off from the rest of the people, and he is forced to flee in an escape pod, which Agent Kallus gets lumped into, and they crash land onto a moon where Callus's leg is broken, but Zeb decides to let him live. One, because he's a nice guy. Two, because honor, and three, he wants to finish Kallus fair and square. So they're stuck on this moon, and they sort of have to band together. And they don't become friends, but they gain this mutual respect for each other and eventually escape. And yeah, it's really good. Like, really, really good. And I mean, there's some cheesy dialogue, as always, but I mean, maybe I'm just a sucker for the episodes where the hero and the villains bond, but it gives it to two characters who desperately need it, especially Kallus, who's just been showing up and being like, "I'm gonna get you, Rebels." So it was really nice to see him sort of get fleshed out. And unlike some Rebels arcs where they fight for a bit and then something happens and then they bond, here they really took their time with Kallus and Zeb bonding. And I think part of that's because it's the hero and the villain. It needed to be slower. Well, I think anytime you do this, it should be slow and natural. And it's almost depressing how well they handle, because I'm constantly complaining about how characters, it takes forever for a character to turn around, not forever, but character arcs are rushed, and it's like, oh, well, they only have 20 minutes in an arc. No. The fact that they did this in 20 minutes, and it did as well, there's no excuse now for any episode of Rebels, particularly the episode at the beginning with Rex and the Blood Sisters. There is no excuse for how sloppy it's been, because this was good. And it was very natural. I mean, for the most part, they resent each other, and most of the time they're just helping each other out of necessity, not out of personal, And over time, they learn to respect each other. And I like how each character is sort of at fault. Each one sort of assumes something about the other. Zeb just assumes Kallus was some horrible monster who wiped out his people, but no, he was a soldier following orders who he believes what he's doing right. Kallus, he doesn't think about what he's doing. He just takes everything literally, and it puts him in a situation where he suddenly is questioning things. Which, honestly, I feel like this concept was handled a bit better in the novel Lost Stars, but it's still good. The idea that, the Lasat, the staff, he won it from a fair and square. He didn't steal it. It wasn't a trophy. The idea that not everyone in the Empire is evil, they just sort of follow orders. And David Oyelowo, what a job he did. I mean, if you haven't seen him in Selma, he's really good as Martin Luther King. And it was nice to finally see him give a good performance, and he's always been a great actor, but he's never really had much to work with. I mean, he's always just given generic villain dialogue, "I'll get you, or advanceable scum," and, come on, you can do more, and thankfully they did. They didn't do as much with Zeb, exploring they explored a bit of the faults of the rebellion, but not as much. I really hope that this episode marks a turning point. I really hope the next time we see Kallus, he does sort of question orders a bit, like Vader, or the Inquisitor says something to Kallus, rather than saying where he'd normally say yes, so he's like, "Are you sure? Because I think you'll be more effective." Or, what if, I don't want to see... I feel like eventually he's going to join the rebellion. I feel like that's where they're ultimately going with it. Similar to Zuko from Avatar The Last Airbender, but again, I really hope they don't drop this. I really hope the next time we face Kallus, we do see a change in him. He can still chase him, but it has to be similar. And again, they should bring arcs back in future seasons, but I'm still just baffled at how well done the character development was here and how it's not handled well in the other episodes. And I really hope that the writers of this episode really take the good writing and translate it to everything else. The world we went to was nice. I like in general this season how we're going to a variety of worlds. And I really hope that continues. Oh yeah, corny dialogue. Sorry, I haven't seen this episode in a week, and I'm reading off my notes. The corny moment was when Rex and Kallus and Zeb were sleeping on each other. That just felt very childish, very cliche. When the rebels are greeting Ezra and Kanan, they just felt very two-dimensional at that moment. I didn't mind them going to the Geonosis moon, or the fact that all the Geonosians are conveniently dead. I mean, budget limits, obviously, we can't actually go to Geonosis, and, a more barren nature-like world is more in the spirit of Star Wars than a giant bug-infested place. And I've noticed we've barely seen the Inquisitors at all this season. I mean, they are just really lame and two-dimensional, and the original Inquisitor was lame, but at least he got stuff done. I mean, these Inquisitors just showed up a couple times, were kind of intimidating, but not really. It seems like the next episode, though, a lot's going to happen. Particularly, we're going to see more of the Inquisitors, so hopefully that changes. And also in the trivia section, they mentioned Kallus gets picked up by an independent trader, not the Empire. And which, again, I think is touching, but I think we get enough of Kallus's disposition in the episode. I mean, there's enough in the ending as it is. I'm really surprised because the writer behind this episode isn't the best writer. And, again, overall, really good episode. I mean, I feel like I've seen the sort of story done better and stuff like Avatar and Steven Universe, but it's a step in the right direction for Rebels, and I hope it continues. So, until next time, this is JStar360, and may the Force be with you.